Welcome to another edition of Motivational Sundays with Kevin and Friends. This show was originally created from one of more than 300 motivational quotes that I had created for the contents of my book after studying over 40 years of human behavior. Got together with a couple of my friends, was always wondering, how does a quote land on you? Were there words that just had to be said, or was it a conversation that we had to talk about? We meet every Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hi, my name is Kevin Macklemore. I am your show host. I am joined by the incredible Dr. Breakthrough. We have some beautiful queens on here: Danielle, Denise, Anne Marie, Larnez, and we're missing a few today. And without queens, there could be no kings. And so, Dr. Breakthrough, Dwayne Morton, The Truth from Boston, Christopher, Gilda, I'm sorry, I forgot about you sitting so close to your man up there. And then the voice of our show, the voice. All right. That sound, that sweet music on the other side of the pillow. That's Otis Spencer, the voice of our show. So we're probably the only podcast that you can join in. So I'm going to ask you today, because we have a powerful quote today. So buckle up, sit back and pull your tray tables up and just open your heart and your ears for the truth. So we got a beautiful quote from Truth Boston today. So we want to find out how this quote lands on you. So Otis, if you don't mind delivering the quote today, and we'll see what Truth has to say.
Grand Rising, everyone. Happy Sunday. Today we have our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure by Marianne Williamson.
Marianne Williamson. Truth. Let's talk about this quote. All right, you brought a wonderful power quote from Marianne Williamson. How's this quote land on you, sir?
Yeah, so I think this quote stood out to me uh for several reasons, right? So when we think about fear and our deepest fears, right? Um when I'm thinking about like deepest fear, I'm thinking about now I'm going into like subconscious, right? Like where did these fears even come from? Are these even original thoughts, right? Did they originate with me? Because there was a long time where I was where I felt uh very inadequate, right? Um Due to circumstances and thoughts that were, you know, not my own, but that I had accepted and adopted. Uh and that inadequacy caused me to move through the world um in ways that were harmful, right? Where I was really overcompensating, where people were hurt sometimes intentionally, sometimes most times unintentionally, right? And I found myself incarcerated for a long time, right? But I think that level of inadequacy that I felt definitely, like I said, fueled a lot of um, the way I was moving through the world, and that level of unawareness, right? Not even knowing what my potential was and moving through the world in a way where it's like I was okay with suffering a premature physical death or social death uh, by virtue of incarceration, right? And it was only while I was incarcerated that I was able to really, um, like I said, tap into that sense of potential because I'd outlived my own life expectancy, right? I didn't even expect to live beyond a certain age, and then I turned that age. I turned it was 23 for me. I didn't think I would make it past 23. Then I turned 23 in prison with a life sentence, right? So now I'm forced to live, A, and B, now I have to figure out like, well, what does my life even mean moving forward, right? In the process of now fighting for my life, right? And then I think about the individual, full transparency. I was incarcerated for a homicide, right? So the individual who's now no longer here, all this potential that I'm able to tap into over the years, like we never get to see what this individual would have would have become, right? So like there's a huge sense of empathy now and a huge sense of accountability and atonement that I have to make for the, the losses that I've caused. Um, so yeah, like there was a lot of fear around. Well, there was fear when I realized like now I'm forced to live. Like that was a scary realization. Like, what am I gonna do with the rest of my life now? So um these are just things that were coming up for me when I identified that quote. So um yeah, I can go on and on, but I'm very interested to hear what came up for the rest of y'all.
Well, I appreciate with that share. Um, like I said, a lot of us go through life um, with more questions than answers, and because we do not seek out the truth, like you've shared with us today, those questions go unanswered. And when we try to define those answers within ourselves, and sometimes it gets a little bit more confusing. Sometimes we don't see the light of the day because we hide in the shadows of our own wisdom or our own truth. And I appreciate you sharing that with us today, Mr. Truth Boston. All right. So we're gonna see, and we're gonna segue over to Anne Marie and see how this quote lands on you.
My goodness. We all have fears, don't we? We are afraid of one thing or another, whether it is public speaking, whether it's fear of our own demise, as Truth just mentioned, fear of something going wrong. Like my mother, she used to worry all the time, and we would say, "What are you so worried about, Mom? We're just going out." Our fears in terms of feeling inadequate, that's legitimate. Second half of the quote talks about fear beyond our deepest measure. It sounds to me that Marianne Williamson is talking about fear of our potential, fear of our greatness, fear of our possibilities. Why would anybody be afraid of that? Well, with with great promise comes great responsibility. Suddenly, you are held accountable for doing something. So if you have greatness inside of you, and I'm going to come back to that word if in a moment, if you have greatness inside of you, that simply means that you have now the responsibility to do something with it. And it is beyond just you yourself. You have to use that greatness in such a way that it impacts other people. Coming back to if, it's not if you have greatness, but it is that you do. And in order to see that greatness inside of you means you have to strip away some of the mask, some of the layers that you have used to protect yourself and shield yourself from the world. It means that you have to go inside and look at who you are as a person. Oh my goodness, how many of us have ever stopped to notice who we are as a person underneath? And when we do that, though, we realize our power. So, one of the things that resonate with what you said in terms of the social constructs that other people teach us, one of those constructs is who taught you to be afraid, who teaches fear. And when you realize that your own power, your own greatness is nothing to be afraid of, but something to celebrate, then another door opens for you, another segue into something that you can shine in. And with that ability to shine, you can not only confront your fears, move through it, but once you acknowledge your greatness, you can go bring somebody with you. You can go make an impact with the world. So to the audience who's listening, what is your what is the power with you inside of you? And what is that power that you can share with others? It is your life's purpose to find it and then go do something about it because somebody's waiting for your story. That's how the quote hit me.
All I can do is say, reach one, teach one. That's all I can say. Dr. Breakthrough. All right. How does this quote land on you?
Awesome. Well, breakthrough mornings, each and every one of you. Again, what powerful quote, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate, but that we are powerful beyond measure. And so for the longest, I tried playing small, pardon me, because that's part of the programming that was instilled inside of me. But again, when I finally broke free, when I realized there is greatness in me, I was created to be great. I don't have to live based off, as I spoke to the crowd yesterday, instead of my limiting beliefs, and right in the middle of the word beliefs is a three-letter word called a lie. And those lies oftentimes come from the fear. See, people that are fearful and they want to control other people by fear. And then what happens is we oftentimes embrace those because, again, now if we come up in a great environment, we're very empowered. But if not, we're very disempowered. And people try to control us through fear. And then we start embracing those fears and they block us from our blessings. They block us from our breakthroughs. As a matter of fact, a lot of times, again, the limiting beliefs, right in the middle of the word beliefs is a three-letter word called a lie that holds us back. But on the flip side, as I had a board yesterday, on the other side, there's limitless success. And as I said to the crowd, I had to learn in my life, and I'm continually learning to break through the lies to get to my limitless success. And of course, I broke the board over my head. I said, hey, we're going to break it together. We'll just use my head because mom used to call me hard-headed. I got married, my beautiful wife, my ABCD, adorable brown caramel delight, said, your mom was right. Anyway, but I said, I'll break it on my head physically, symbolizing psychologically that you're going to break through the lies. And again, the fear is a lie, FEAR, false expectation appearing real. Fear, I like to say, former experiences affecting reality. Fear, forgetting everything's all right. See, in the story of Job, Satan couldn't get to Job until God allowed him to pull down the hedge. And he said, now, I'll pull down the hedge. You can touch everything he has, just don't touch his life. And the thing is, whenever something like that happens, God always has a recourse. And in the end, Job ended up with twice as much as what he had. So again, the fear sometimes is because we want to play the victim. This one's pretty rough. See, if we say, my greatest fear is that I'm more powerful beyond measure, then if I agree to that, that means I can't play the victim anymore. That means I have to take responsibility. Break that word down, responsibility. It means respond with ability. That means I've got to get up and do something. That means I've got to love what Truth said, taking responsibility. Okay, that's a heavy thing to do. So now it's going to cause me to want to do more, be more, have more, and so forth. And so, my friend, this is a powerful quote. I keep telling people, I'm going to keep telling you over and over again till we all believe it. And that is, God made you and I a masterpiece. The reason we're masterpieces, because we're a piece of the master. We're a product of the master. And most importantly, we're the priority of the master. See, even when I gave up on myself, God didn't give up on me because he says, no, son, I see where you can go. And I'm working on you to get you to what I see and know that you can already be. And so give up your deepest fear that you are more powerful than beyond measure and realize you were made by the master. The master creator made you and I many creators, gave us a mandate to create. And so we can create a masterpiece of a life because that's what he made us to begin with. So let's don't live in our fears. Instead, let's live based on our faith. And I close with this, as I'll get preaching here in a minute, but faith, F-A-I-T-H, fully anticipating it to happen. Faith, functioning as if things happening. So you're great. Walk in your greatness, my friend, and don't let anybody, including yourself, talk you out of it. God bless you.
Another breakthrough moment, acronym after acronym. You name it. Happy birthday. We'll have an acronym. We'll attach that to it. But I will tell you, ladies and gentlemen, this show is powerful today. And the show started out with the truth. He just happens to be from Boston, happens to share a story, happens to be surrounded by family that believes in him, and he's doing great things in the community. Now he's getting a second chance. All right. Now that he has answers to the questions he didn't have answers to before, instead of reacting, he is living out his own truth. This brother is not inadequate. He's a master. And he's a master because today in this show, he broke through. So let's see how Gilda turns on interprets this quote. But before we go on, I'm going to ask the voice of our show. All right, and be prepared. All right, so, ladies and gentlemen, hold on to your children because I'm going to tell you when he speaks, you get into some kind of mood. Now, I know it's Sunday. All right, so I don't have to fill in the details. But Otis, be gentle with us this time. Give us this quote one more time.
Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are more powerful beyond measure.
All right, he could have been a temptation with that voice. Listen to that. All right, Gilda, how does this quote land on you?
Grand Rising, this quote landed on me as having too much power is our greatest fear.
Okay. All right. Having too much power is our greatest fear.
Yes.
So few words were so powerful in the statement itself. Now, I'm not going to go far from Gilda because I'm going to keep it in the neighborhood. I'm going to turn it over to Chris. And let me say this. We're celebrating Memorial's Day. All right, coming up. I grew up in a military family. So to my brothers, my uncles, my aunts, my cousins that have served, to our brothers and sisters that have served, that have made this country and given us the foundation where we can have freedom of speech, even though that we question our leadership right now, there's still by far, until we're proven different, is one of the greatest places on earth to live. And Chris, I want to thank you for your service, along with everyone else that's watching this show. I don't want to forget anyone, male, female, or indifferent. If you wore the uniform, we celebrate you. We know the truth about our history. So, Chris, this quote from Marianne Williamson, how does this quote land on you?
Well, first off, Kevin, thank you so much. My service was a gift, but it was a pleasure to give.
Now, I got to ask you a question. I'm going to interrupt you for real quick. You're damn near 7 foot tall. How did they put a uniform on you and then hide you from the enemy?
I'm only 6'1", and the trick was I served on submarines, so the enemy got to find me first, and they were never successful in finding me. No, I left no wake.
All right. All right. Let's go back to the quote. I just thought about that. I mean, he's a tall Texan.
No, actually, I've got one. No, that's right. I was going to say I've got one brother my height, but no one taller. I've got nephews that are like 6'8", no 6'6". Mm-hmm. But yeah, we stacked it pretty tall back in California, but no wind. But the quote, Kevin and I were talking before we started the podcast. My problem with that is, I'm sorry. Well, let me take the quote and appreciate it. I do appreciate the quote. It's an extremely viable and livable quote. And as far as actual anxiety, I found that my fear was in my accomplishments. Now, it wasn't that I feared work or try to get around having to do a particular thing. My problem has always been, I don't want to stand out for that particular thing, but more importantly, I was afraid that if I became noted as a useful tool, my either use would be beyond my ability to sustain, or I would let somebody down. Now, just looking at that and thinking back to some of the teachings that I received over the years, a lot of that fear, as Truth talked about, of being exceptional, was taught. And if you can stop for a second and look back to a time where the exceptional people were not only stood out above everybody else, but they're also plucked out by those that controlled you. In other words, when I look back, I see my mother as the person who taught me not to stand out, not to be too loud, not to be too obvious. And it may be one of those things that we simply carried on through generation to generation. Remember once I learned in the class that the phrase, I'm going to make me some, basically came from the fact that when you made anything, it was for somebody else. The fact that I'm going to make me something was that you were preparing something for yourself. And no one else uses that expression. That's a Black owned expression. I'm going to make me some, because by trait, we prepared for other people. So the distinction was, I'm going to make me some, Black only. But the idea that you hide your abilities, children that could read were segregated and kept away from the master, because that made that child more valuable. Okay, so oftentimes talent, okay, was taught to be secluded or hidden for that reason. Now, why we do it today, we, like I was explaining to Kevin earlier, in my case, what I exhibit as a remarkable or standout talent, to me, meant that that's what I'm going to do forever. I'm going to be removed from what I normally would do or what I would enjoy doing, and now placed at the pinnacle of whatever they need to have done, because they know this guy can do it. Now, that's sort of a service implant. For me, I ran a team of professionals that could do exactly anything. Okay, if they didn't come to me with that ability was taught. But the overall idea was, my people could get anything done. It was the adage of, for so long we've worked for people who wanted next to nothing. Well, I'm sorry, wanted everything and provided us next to nothing to get it done. Yet we got it done. And so part of my hesitation for being outspoken or standing apart or being that super whatever was that it would become a habit. It would become my new thing. It would become the only thing that I do now, and everything else would become lesser. So yeah, I never feared inadequacy, truly, but I did fear the fact that I now became that well-worn or constantly used item because of a talent that either I picked up, I made use of, or simply was inherent to me. I do recognize the fact that I did fear that. I did fear being used in that one principle, that one occupation, that one talent, because it stood out. Now, like I said, I can't really think of a single thing where my mother actually said, no, don't do that, don't stand out. But I can see that as being a thing that was taught to protect me from those who would pluck me out of my family, my life, my livelihood, or whatever, and place me somewhere else where that was all that I did, that particular talent that they saw as special.
All right. All right. Thank you for that sharing and addressing your fears and your inadequacies. I know sitting by Gilda, you got to be always be on. Uh, that's all right. Um, Talk about fears. I mean, this was once one of my fears. I was always told as I was growing up that I should be a teacher. And because of did not know I had learning disabilities, I steered away from the advice was given me. But we have two people on this platform that face their fears. You know, we have Danielle that is over there in parts of New York, teaching our young kids in order to recognize and appreciate and embrace their greatness and overcoming their fears. So that I know this quote, and I'll go to you, Danielle, first. This quote has to mean something deep inside of you because, you know, being a teacher, standing in front of someone that's got an open mind, that's a lot of responsibility. That's a lot. I know Anne Marie, she shares that too, and she has the kids on the spoken words. I couldn't do that. I'm going to tell you. So I will tell you, if I had the three of you standing there when I was coming up, oh man, Dr. Breakthrough, you would have a run for your money. All right. You got so lucky. That's why I have Larnessa to protect me when I go out in public. So Danielle, how's this quote land on you?
Uh, this quote hits me on multiple levels. When I wake up in the morning, my first thought is, how am I going to make a difference during a lesson? But I also realize that self-sabotage is real. And I second guess myself in the morning. I second guess myself during the day when I'm planning those lessons or revising them or looking at the feedback from the students but with all of this going on, I can't show them my fear because then they'll be afraid as well. They'll be afraid to learn. They'll be afraid to step in front of the class and share their thoughts. And I'm better at helping them get past their fears and focusing on a quote like this to use it to empower themselves than I am for doing it myself. So it hit me hard this morning, and I had to reflect and go, well, how am I self sabotaging myself by second guessing and thinking, well, if my business does come to fruition, will it be sustainable? And I think that fear comes in is when you get to this certain point, it has to be sustainable. Because now I'm at a higher point and I'm thinking, you definitely can't fail here because then more people will know. If you keep things small and you keep yourself in a small box, then only a few people will know that you failed. But if you give yourself and put yourself on a platform, then people expect more of you. And that's the fear that I think stops many of us from pushing through. I'm still working on how to make sure that I push my students through that phase so that they can become successful. It's kind of hard to do that during a science class, with the labs and all that other stuff in between. But with ELA and spoken word, you can help them step out of themselves. But I'm working on it. I really am.
See,
That's how
there's
this
two
quote lands with me.
it's two parts to the conversation we're having today regarding this quote. The first part of the truth is allowing yourself to be um, um, God, I can't even think the word. I had it before. Um, what is it when you put yourself out there? What's that word? Vulnerable. Allowing yourself to be vulnerable. And then the other part, when you recognize your greatness, be okay with the fact that God has given you a gift that He didn't give someone else. And then your responsibility to that is to go out there and show the world how great you are. All right. And each and every last person on this platform that has ever been on the show is an example of the conversation we're having. All right. I'm sure I'm not the only one that's ever been chased home by someone shooting at them before. For some of our guests, we don't know, may not know this, but this is part of our neighborhood. I'm sure some of you people don't know what it's like to find out the bully is not as tough as you when your dad stands there and says it's either you or me. And I chose me and I had to take down the bully. Uh, I mean, he had the first three rounds, but I finished it, you know. But we also know what it's like for each and every last male on this to walk across the room to see Danielle, Denise, Anne Marie, Gilda standing on the dance floor, and walking over as soon as that Temptation song, the OJs or Spinners came on, we walked across and we had to ask for a dance, knowing that possibilities would say no. That's a long walk away when you come back and she goes, I just want to dance here with my girlfriends. We know that. It's all the truth. You know, the only time we ever feel inadequate is we settle on where we fall short instead of moving on. So, DM, you know, brother just put out a brand new book, and we got a lot of authors on this show. And I'm advising every single person that's listening to this, write your own story, put out your book. It doesn't hurt, doesn't cost you anything. The same ink that goes on a bestseller is the same ink that's on your paper. It's all black and white. All right. Tell your story. Dwayne, all right. We know what it's like. And when I say someone's been shooting at you, you know how that is because your book talks about it. All
Yep.
right. So, how does this quote land on you?
Yeah, so I am going to probably say some things that maybe some other people hadn't looked at it from that perspective. And it's not just from my experience, it's from hearing other people's experience. We need to be more transparent. We just need to be more transparent. Because here's the thing, we go from light in the womb, we know light, to a dark world. And then through that journey, we start seeing glimpses of light. And then that's what brings us to our spiritual journey where we actually see light. Great power comes great responsibility, right? Look at it from a superhero's origin. Superman had a hell of a time trying to figure out how to fly, but when he did, he was the great Superman. Same thing with Spider-Man. There's the dark part where he actually got Uncle Ben killed because he went and used his talent at a wrestling match and put Uncle Ben in a vulnerable situation. And so I think sometimes us as teachers and healers with these kids, we need to be a little bit more damn transparent and be able to say, hey, like, I struggled with this, because guess what? You would empower those kids. Transparency is one of the things that they don't get at home. They don't get from other people. I think we need to bring that into our education system. The other aspect of we were not taught that our talents are good. We're taught that our talents separate us. And when we get separated, there are people like, oh no, you can't say that. Oh no, you can't do that too. Like, so I've had that stuff too. But if you look at it, before you were loved, supported, heard, you were probably not heard, misunderstood, all of those different negative thoughts. So the thing is I feel you won't respect what you have until you actually go through some adversity. You won't learn through that resistance. That's truly what makes the diamond, the pressure for the diamond. The sword, when we go into the forge and we get in the bloom, we get hammered away. So with my experience with being misdiagnosed for 18 years and for the police shooting that I was in, here's the thing. If I had to take those back, I wouldn't. And the reason why is I would not be where I'm at to create this type of impact. And I know this panel has got amazing people. But look at it. Would you change that? Probably not, because it would change who you are and it would change the impact that you are. So I think that's where the quote lands on me. I mean, I've heard this quote on Coach Carter. I've watched that movie hundreds of times. It's one of the most beautiful quotes. But truly, like, we have to understand that us as kids, we are programmed straight out of the womb. And then we have to keep breaking that program, breaking those limiting beliefs. And so that's where the fear is instilled. The fear is instilled because of other people. We already knew light. We already knew light. The programming happened to make that spiritual journey. And so the journey is the most important part. And the thing is most people are more worried about the destination, but it's truly the journey. So that's where the quote landed on me.
And the one key thing that I got from what you said is about the programming. Sometimes we need to reboot and upload instead of downloading so much of this life and thinking that these are things we're supposed to do. This is who you're supposed to be, just because you are in this environment or in this family not expecting. I know there's many of people we'll talk to that comes from large families, and you'll be the first to do something in your life, the first to have a full-time job, the first to have a 401k, the first to have a college education, the first to own their own home instead of renting or living in the projects or whatever case may be. Your story is what makes you. And when you say that we've got to be authentic, we've got to own our own truth. But as long as you have breath, your story's not over. And you could either decide to have it be a dramatic comedy, a drama. You can have it be romantic, or you can have the most amazing venture this life can offer you. The key thing is owning your own truth and allowing yourself to be vulnerable. And when I allow myself to be vulnerable, I will tell you, Larnez, the first time you and I went out in public, I told you, I'm an extrovert on this show, but I'm an introvert in my own life. And Larnez ran interference. I'm going to tell you, Mike Tyson couldn't have a better bodyguard than Larnez, because he is no joke when she gets out there. All right. So I think the biggest thing that we allow ourselves to do is be vulnerable around, allowing ourselves to be vulnerable about the people that are within our circle. The people outside our circle, it's showtime. But the people within our circle that care for you, that pour into you, you've got to let them see your truth. And the people that pour into you will always protect you. They will always be there for you. So this quote, when you talk about accepting your fears, is acknowledging and putting that out there. Once you put out in conversation what you're fearful in, it is gone. Right, Dr. Breakthrough? It is gone. And if you have your faith, I'm going to tell you, best coat of armor you're ever going to wear. All right. All right. That's because disciples become warriors and warriors become the truth. So, Larnez, how does this quote land on you?
Well, Grand Rising, everyone. This is the first time I actually noticed this quote. I've heard it, I've seen it, but I haven't sat with it. So I thank you for this truth. To me, this quote is a sacred activation, a truth older than time, carried by the energy of the universe. The same energy that flows through my hands when I lay them over a womb aching with silence. The same energy that moves through our ancestors when they sung under the moonlight and held the line in spite of it all. You were never meant to be small. Your light is not a mistake, it's a map. You are the continuation of breath work passed down through generations who never forgot who they were, even when the world did. We don't just heal from experiences. We remember, we connect, we rise. So today, I invite you to return to the altar that is your body. Place your hand on your heart and just breathe in and whisper, I'm ready. Let that energy move through you, through your palms, through your bloodline. Let them rise with you. You are powerful beyond measure because you are rooted beyond words. You carry the whispers of healers, midwives, warriors, and seers. You are not broken. You are blooming. And that's how this hit me. I'm complete.
Thank you. You're not complete yet. There is so much more to this story to be told. And we've had so many amazing, powerful stories on here, and we all are living our own truth and our own story. And the reason why I saved Denise for last today, because she stands just under 5'4", and by far 5 foot what? Go ahead, unmute.
I'm 4'11". I'm short.
I didn't want to say your actual height because my
No,
mother's
now I'm
4'11".
okay with that. Before I
Okay,
didn't used to.
I'm trying to build you up to be taller. For the simple fact is that
Damn.
when
I was bullied a lot, and
well,
I
that's what
couldn't
I'm
deal with
going
it.
through.
But now I'm grown. I'm healed.
All
So,
right. And that's the reason why I'm going with. There are forces in our society, just because you're 4'11", 5'4", 6'7", 5'10", 5'11", no matter what happens, is that when you look a little different than other people and they do not recognize your truth or what you had to go through. When they hear the story of saying that someone like a Kevin Macklemore did not see his vision of being beyond 16 because of community, his culture that he grew up in, in, and deviant was part of the conversation when my name was brought up, they don't see the truth. But when I look at the fact that what I see what society does to people like you and me, and didn't see the greatness, everyone here has got to a point in life that we should be recognized, stood up on a pedestal and says, look, if I can do it, you can do it too. But we still have a system that is in place that tries to steal your thunder, that tries to put you under the rug, tries not to give you the truth of where your position is in our history, in our community, in our lives. And all we do is, our system tries to find something wrong with you when we are looking for everything right with you. And the reason why, Denise, I saved you for last is because you stood up to a system that was a bully and you conquered at 5'4", 11". You stood 6 feet tall and said, "Hear me speak, because I am about to break through." So with this quote, I'm going to ask Otis to set us up one more time before we talk to him. But we're going to talk to you. Otis, one more time, this quote.
Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are more powerful beyond measure.
All right. And when I say this, ladies and gentlemen, when I talk to Denise, don't look at her tears for weaknesses. Look at it
Sorry,
as
I tend to
part
cry.
of
Yep.
her armor, because she has been through some stuff, and we're all going to go through some stuff. But I'm going to tell you, all right, this woman is tough.
Thank you
All
for
right.
that, Kevin. Oh, this quote is awesome. It was all me last year. Like Chris said, I was brought up like not to stand up, not to be too loud because I could be loud. I'm short, but I could be loud. So I have learned not to take off my crown for weak people. So I know I have my crown. My crown is paid for. So that's what I'm here for. So I had to learn that I had the power, I had the voice that I needed to speak up, especially for my students because I teach English language learner. So, and the parents sometimes don't know how to communicate and stuff. So for me, being the only educator of color in my district, they thought I was weak, that I didn't know I had, because I guess they think about, yeah, she's supposed to be quiet. She's supposed not to stand up. Like, that's how they are brought up too. So when I start speaking up, people's like making me a target, like the black, like angry black woman. And every time I went to a meeting, I used to say, God, take care of this, because if I do, I'm going to go to jail. So that was my thing. So I started like getting my power back. Like, I know what I'm doing. I went to school for this. I have a purpose. So my power is there. I'm going to go there, straight up my crown, and go into those meetings. And for me, that was my fear, because I'm like, yeah, they're going to think I'm angry. They're going to think. So I had to take that out of my system. That fear that, no, I'm here for a purpose. There's a reason I'm here for these students, because if not me, then who? So that's how this quote landed on me.
Hey, all right. I told you, Dr. Breakthrough, you see what we do here? Look at this. And I want to thank all of you. I want to thank everyone that listens to the show. I mean, as you know, when Otis closes out the show's about to come to an end, but this is only the beginning, because we always speak the truth. We always bring something exciting. This is the reason why we have motivational Sundays with Kevin and friends. That small circle is the people that pour into me, not people that show up that want something from me. And I am very grateful for this platform and for the people. Otis, how does this quote land on you? You've said it a couple of times. Now you're thinking.
Actually, what actually came to my mind, you may be around people that are smarter than you and know more than you to make you feel inadequate. But realize you have the abilities to do some things that they can't do, and they will feel inadequate. But together, you are extremely powerful.
And that's the way we round this out. Our deepest of fears is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we have power beyond measure. As human beings, we tend to, as Anne Marie say, we think small. We sell ourselves short, and often we are afraid, like many people have said, to own our own great potential, because we are so focused on the shortcomings. Um, this quote addresses the root of self doubt, the fear that taking on a challenge, the responsibility, or the potential of the consequences of our ability. We all have greatness within us. This quote implies that, fear is taking a risk, be responsible, challenge a system, an association, and live it within your potential and embrace your abilities. The question often is not who you are, is who you're afraid to be. Acknowledge and embrace your own greatness within you. All right. If people think less of you, I'm going to say let them. I was talking about with a friend the other day about an acronym that I use in selling. I say stop selling, just care. And so when I broke down care, all right, the C stands for communication. Be able to talk about, own whatever your story is, and continue to write your story. And then allow people that have greatness within them or people that you want to learn from access. Then be responsible for everything that you do. No matter if it's good or bad, take ownership of it. Because when you take ownership and you're responsible, guess what? You're free. All right. And then the last thing is do what we do over here. So if you put the E in there, we empower people. All right. We give them a reason to get up and give them a reason to be at peace when they lay their heads down. That's all we do on this show. All right. So what I'm saying to you is that when you talk about, your deepest fears, what's that acronym you used for fear, Dr. Breakthrough?
False expectations appearing real is what's always been taught. My personal acronym is former experiences affecting reality.
All right, we're gonna stop you. We're gonna stop you on there so I can close the show. um, what understand what fear is something that you put in front of you that becomes a barrier. And I'm going to use Dr. Breakthrough. If it happens to be taking a brick and breaking it over your head, if it happens to be putting your foot through a door, if it happens to be putting a shovel under an obstacle to dig through it, when you get on the other side, no matter what is there, it is still you. Live in your own greatness. Stand up and be center stage. Tell your story and be true to you. Because at the end of the day, all right, we all have greatness, and I believe in you. So, with that said, I want to thank everyone that has tuned in. I want to thank all my wonderful co-hosts, Chris and Gilda, the voice of our show, Otis, Truth from Boston. Thank you for your share and your truth, powerful brother over there. Larnaz for always having my back. DM for putting your story into words. Dr. Breakthrough, thank you for all the work that you do and you talk to thousands of people and showing them how to overcome. Denise, Anne-Marie, and Danielle, thank you for being the most powerful people on the world because you pour into our children, because that is our future. And the only way that we're going to go beyond our shortcomings is to provide hope, helping other people every single day. And I thank all of you for the gift that you give, and not only me, but everyone else that is listening to you. Thank you. My grandfather always said, and I'm going to leave this up to Chris since Naheem is not here. He says, when you get to a point, unmute Chris, when you get to a point that you can help someone else out, it is your duty to do so. And he said, what, Chris?
On that, fade to black. Actually,
and don't forget to come back.